Hey everyone, welcome back to Shop Life. In this video, I'm going to be talking about which E46 to buy. So there are so many E46s in the market right now. You know, there's a bunch of low dollar ones, so like you can buy a running and driving one for less than $2,000. It might not be running and driving that well, but you can buy one. You know, there's some that people are asking $12,000, $13,000 for, not including the M3s. So obviously, if you can afford an M3, you can't go wrong with any M3. I mean, an M3 is an M3 at the end of the day. I'm not talking about any maintenance standpoint or anything like that. I'm just talking about which car I would recommend buying as far as what your needs are and what your budget is. And as far as like, you know, what's going to be worth it in the long run. So, you know, the M3, obviously, if you could buy any M3, we're not talking about you guys. So the M3 is, you know, hands down, that's the E46 that everybody wants to buy. I mean, I can make a whole separate video on just the M3 as far as which M3 you should buy as far as packages, you know, body style, convertible, coupe, anything like that, the colors that are available, all kinds of stuff, which one's going to be worth more in the long run. But now we're just going to be talking about the non-Ms. So the non-Ms, the ones that you can usually buy are 330, 325, 323, 328. I'm talking about the US market. I know the European market and every other country, you guys have like the 318, 316, even the 320, and even the diesel models. I'm not familiar with those, so I can't really speak much about those. So I'm just going to be talking about which ones we got here in the US. So you know what? I'm just going to start with the bottom, you know, the earliest model E46, the one that I least recommend, and we'll work our way up. So we'll start with the 323. You can buy, the 323 is made in 1999 and 2000. So you can buy the 323, there's the coupe version, there's the sedan version, there's even the wagon version. So the 323 I usually don't recommend at all, just because it's got the subframe issues, it's got the weakest subframe of them all, and it's just, you know, doesn't have as many of the technology comfort options. So even the automatic transmissions, different style inside, it looks a lot older. And you know, by this time the 323s there were pretty much the very, very base model that you can buy. So a lot of people didn't package them out. There's no, you know, a lot of people didn't put the premium package on it. A lot of them didn't come with sunroofs. A lot of them didn't come with the sport package. So they're very, very base. And that's something that, I mean, if you really want a 323, it would just be so, you know, you have an E46. I mean, by now most of them are usually gone. A lot of them are being used for parts. A lot of them have had the subframe torn out and whatnot. So I would recommend staying away from the 323s. And I mean, let me just backtrack a little bit before, you know, I don't want to offend anybody. If you do own any of the ones that I'm talking about, I mean, if you own it already, this video shouldn't really apply to you. I mean, I'm sure that you guys are taking care of it and, you know, you're just maintaining it. You must like it to keep it, obviously. It's an older car. I know it's probably had a lot of work done to it. So I'm just talking about the people that are getting new into the market for an E46. Because, I mean, let's just face it, a lot of these cars have been beat on, especially the ones that are at the cheaper price point. And usually these are going to be the ones that I least recommend. They're going to be at a cheaper price point. Now, if you're looking for a specific color combo or a specific, you know, body style, and you can't really find anything but the one like that, I don't recommend that much. I would still, I mean, if it's that clean and it's something that you really want, obviously just buy it and try to keep up with it as much as you can. And another thing, like, I mean, you guys know if you've been keeping up with my channel, I've swapped, you know, pretty much everything into anything as far as the E46 goes. We've got an LS swapped E46 right there. We've got an S54 swapped E46 right there. That started its life out as a 330. That one was a 325. So we even have a 325 wagon that has a 330 swap. So, you know, you can swap everything, but this is just, if you were to go buy one today, what I recommend and what I don't recommend. All right, so now with the 323 out of the way, let's look at the 328. The 328 is very similar to the 323 in that it was available in 99 and 2000 only, and it faces a lot of the same issues that the 323 faced with, you know, most of the outdated electronics. It is a pre-facelift model, and the subframe's weaker, doesn't have as many options available. A lot of people didn't option those out as much either, although they should usually be more optioned out than the 323. With that being said, the 328s, The 323 and the 328 are both M52 engines. Some people prefer those. They have the throttle cables. It's not drive-by-wire, so it's a little bit more analog. As far as, like I said, it's a little bit more outdated. So it does have the M52, the M54, and that one was not available on the 323 or 328. So, I mean, the speed of the 323 and 328 is relative to how, how you're looking at it and how you have it packaged. If you have a manual, a 328 manual might be faster than a 325 automatic. I mean, it's going to be very marginal, but it is possible. Same thing with the 323 versus 328, auto versus manual. Manual is usually going to be a little bit faster. And you can change the acceleration as far as changing out the rear end, differential and all that. But at that point, you're putting more money into it, you're doing more changes, and it's just going to change the whole, this video really doesn't apply to all of that. So now enough with the 323 and 328. Let's move on to the 325. The 325, so that's available from 2001 all the way up until the end of the production of the E46. So the 325 2001 models are still pre-facelift, and the pre-facelift is just, the body is a little bit different. The packages and the options available in those packages are a little bit different, but the 325 is probably one of the most common ones available. So it's got the M54, so it is drive-by-wire. It's got the whole different style of the automatic shifter as well, the shifter assembly. It just looks a little bit newer inside, and more colors were available, and people usually option those out a little bit more, because starting in 2001, the only options were 325 and 330. Yes, you can get the XI, you can get the coupe, sedan, wagon. So all that is just, depending on where you're at. If you're living in the mountain areas, or if you're in like a snowy climate, icy climate, you might want the XI. But, those all have their own potential problems, which I've covered in separate videos, which will be linked down below. But continuing on, the 325. Compared to the 330, the 325 has smaller brakes, less displacement, so less power. But the fuel economy is very similar between the 325 and 330. Now the bumpers also, the cosmetics. The 325s didn't get the the sport package bumpers or anything. Even with the sport package, they didn't. So they don't look as aggressive or packaged out as the 330 did. The suspension itself, if you don't get sport package, they don't usually have the sport suspension. But besides that, I mean, everything else can be similar. For example, like the newer 325s, the facelift models, especially the coupes, you had LED taillights that are available. You can even get on the convertibles as well. You can get the sport package on there, sport seats. You can even get the sunroof and all that. All that pretty much is very similar. And you can actually do a few upgrades from the 330, like the bumpers and stuff. And I even have videos on that as well. So the 325 is not a bad purchase. You can find similarly packaged ones as the 330, but just know that they have smaller brakes, they're less powerful, but they are a little bit more comfort as far as technology-wise, and even look-wise, they do look a little bit newer inside, especially than the 323 and 328, even the facelift and pre-facelift models of the 325. So the 325 though does have the SULEV package, especially that's usually it's called the California emissions friendly one, and that one started, I believe, in 2003 up until the end of the production run. And I highly recommend staying away from those SULEV motors, mainly because they have a completely sealed fuel system. And that's mainly the big issue here, is that sealed fuel system. So what it means is the fuel pump is built into the tank. Only way to replace that fuel pump is to replace the entire tank. And let me just tell you, you're not going to find a SULEV tank anywhere now, especially because of the age of the car, with less than 100, 120,000 miles. Yes, they do have the extended warranty from factory, but now almost all of them are expiring, because the extended warranty was for 15 years from the production date, or 150,000 miles, whichever came first. And if the car's salvage title, that warranty is thrown out the window right away. So I usually recommend staying away from the SULEV motors, just because even if you bought a 2005 model one, you don't have that much longer before that warranty expires, whether that's the mileage or the age. So the whole SULEV motor has a different engine code. It's called an M56, and this was only available on the 325s. And a quick way to tell is if you open up the hood, the actual valve cover itself or even the vanity cover, you should be able to see the vanity cover is just one cover for the whole engine, and the oil fill cap is closer to the front of the engine compared to the M54, which is a little bit towards the middle. So if you have a full plastic cover on the engine bay and it's just one that covers that engine, it's likely the M56, and most of the companies or most of the dealerships will market it as the M56 emissions-friendly SULEV motor. But like I said, it does have an extended warranty, but by now those warranties are expiring, so just be wary of that before you go and purchase one of those. Now let's move on to the 330. And this is the model that I recommend. I mean, if you look on the forums, everybody recommends the 330. And I mean, I'm not trying to hate on any of the other cars. This is just what, you know, if you're in the market for one, I would definitely look and suggest looking for a 330. The prices are a little bit higher than the 325, but you get a little bit more for your money. I mean, it's got, the 330s were still available in the pre-facelift if that's what you really like. Like, for example, we love the pre-facelift models just because of the way they look in the front, even the back. They've got, you know, different style headlights. They're not as curvy. They don't look as modern to some, but they do look a little bit more aggressive. And the E46 M3 never got a facelift. So the front looks somewhat similar. Obviously, the M3 is wider. It's got, you know, different engine and all that. We're not talking about all that. But, so as I was saying, the 330, the pre-facelift models, you can still get the sport package and all the goodies there. They had the M-Tech option for that as well, where you can get the M-Tech 1 bumpers, and that's actually one on that car right there. So, you know, there's still packages available for the 01, but starting, I believe, in 02 and 03, every 330 came factory with the sport suspension. Obviously, you can still get the sport package for the upgraded seats, upgraded wheels, upgraded bumpers, and even the ZHP package was available. So ZHP is practically a 330. It's got the M3 steering wheel. It's got a little bit of a different interior. It's got the manual was available with the 6-speed. It's also got different bumpers, different wheels, and the engine itself has a different camshaft in it, so it's a little bit quicker than the actual normal 330. Even the exhaust is a little bit different, the steering rack is different, there's a lot of differences. So ZHP was only available on the 330s, and they've got a lot of upgrades. You know, cosmetic wise, we've got different bumpers, different wheels, even the interior's got different steering wheel, different interior itself, the headliner, the trim, everything is different. The engine is more powerful due to a different camshaft, different tune on the actual engine, DME itself. So the fuel map, all that's different as well. It's got different muffler, so it sounds different, different suspension, different steering rack. So there's a lot of goodies with the ZHP. But the ZHPs are a little bit rarer, and everybody that owns one usually knows it, so they actually jack up the price quite a bit. That's the downside to that. But the good thing is, if you get a ZHP, usually you're not going to change the bumpers, you're not going to change the, you know, the interior as much either, or the colors. Actually, you know, there's different colors available on the ZHP as well. So you're paying a premium, but that's like the desirable car underneath the M3. Now, if you don't want the ZHP, the normal 330, even after, you know, the whole facelift, most of them came with sport suspension factory. You can get the sport package for different seats and whatnot, different steering wheel, different wheels, different bumpers. But overall, the 330 was, you know, it's the top of the line at the non-M. So you get bigger brakes, bigger engine, it's a little bit quicker. The fuel consumption is very similar to 325, 323, 328. It's not that much different. The power difference is there. Now that pretty much covers the whole, you know, which model to get. Like I said, don't be discouraged. If you find one that's, you know, the right color combo that you really want, and it's a 323, 325, 330, doesn't really matter. If it's the color combo you want, you can always fix it up, you know, do any kind of preventive maintenance to get it to where you want it. And all of the E46s, regardless of what model you have, XI, I, doesn't matter, wagon, convertible, they all will eventually have subframe issues. I have a video that goes over this, so it doesn't matter. I know a lot of people are going to be like, convertibles don't have that, they have reinforcements. If you look on the forums, there's going to be 1 or 2 cases where you'll find the convertibles has cracked subframe. XIs, same thing. A lot of people don't think they do, but they will all eventually have that subframe issue. But it is repairable. Depending on how much you like the car, you might have to, you know, spend extra money on it, but it is repairable. And like with any used car, make sure you get a pre-purchase inspection done before you buy anything. Make sure you go check out my other videos that go over common issues and whatnot, so you know what you're getting yourself into. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope it helped you guys out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'm sure if I don't get to them, other people that are watching these videos, they should be able to help you out as well. And if I've helped you out with any of my videos, make sure you consider joining as a member of the channel. It works like Patreon. You give like a monthly subscription fee. I believe it's like $5, but the perks are real. I get over 100 messages daily trying to contact me, trying to get some kind of troubleshooting, diagnostic, or whatnot. If you are a member of the channel and you message me through that whole platform, I get to respond to you a lot quicker. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, he's just trying to be greedy. No, it's just because you guys gotta understand, I run a shop full time. I'm trying to do YouTube as much as I can to help people out. But if you're a member, I get paid somewhat for my time. I started this whole thing out, I wasn't looking for money for it or anything, but you guys, just gotta be respectful of my time as well. There's also other perks, so make sure you just read through them and I'll help out wherever I can. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more videos regarding the E46, the FAE that we recently purchased as well. We'll have videos on that as well. Thanks for watching.